Ricky, I wrote 10 blog posts. I know it's not a lot, but what can I get for 10 blog posts?
With that, you have earned yourself
Oh, that's pretty cool.
a Luke Skywalker Lego figurine.
All right, I've added 40 more posts. That's 50 in total. I think that's worth a little more. What can I get for 50?
Respectable. You could buy the rest of the Lego set.
Awesome. I've been working a lot harder than I was before. I wrote 100 posts.
Why don't you come with me?
Okay.
You could get a new 75-inch Samsung UHD TV every single month.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy cow, a TV every month?
Or if you don't want that many TVs, I do have another idea for you. The other option you have is you could invest it. If you were to just put it in like an index fund and leave it every single month, you'd be a millionaire in about 6 years.
That sounds a lot better than a new TV every month.
Yeah, that's like 72 TVs. That's a lot.
I've been writing like crazy. I haven't been to any family events. I've done nothing but type. I've written 500 blog posts.
Let me show you something.
Okay.
Hey, you see this house here?
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, it is. Look, your blog's income can cover all the monthly expenses of owning this house.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm really not. All right, Luke safely back in his X-Wing. We love to have fun here at Income School, and there's little that I find more fun than statistics and numbers. No, in all seriousness, this is a really cool study that we did. We did it a year ago, and now we're doing a follow-up to see again what has changed. Last year we looked at how much people are earning per blog post, whether they've written 10 posts, 100 posts, or 500 posts on their website. Today we're updating that study and have a couple cool new numbers for you that I'm excited to share. Let's dive right into it. So let's start with what happens with only 10 blog posts on a site. With this much content, you really run the risk of earning nothing at all and landing in the underperform category. 0 page views, which turns into $0. Now, the average here came out to be about 5,472 page views with just 10 articles, which lands almost perfectly on our expectation, which we have, of achieving at least 500 page views per article that we write. However, when we look at the data, we find that that number is achieved by a small percentage of the sites who are doing better than that. There's a very high percentage of sites who are achieving nothing at all. And at the stretch goal end of the spectrum, what we're seeing is sites with about 10,000 page views per month, which is awesome. That's our own internal goal that we have for our own sites of achieving about 1,000 page views per article that we write. So what does that translate into income? Well, obviously at the low end, you're gonna earn nothing with no traffic. But if you are able to achieve about those 5,000, almost 5,500 page views per month, then what we see is an average EPMP, earnings per 1,000 or per milli page views. That's just our metric that we use. It's just dollars earned divided by number of page views on the site times 1,000. What that does is it levels the playing field. We can see all forms of earnings related to page views on the same scale. We're seeing an EPMP there of about $14.60. Now, that's below the average, but considering only 10 articles on a site, I'm impressed with what you're achieving. What we're seeing with that is an income of about $80 a month. Now, if you did land on the stretch end of that spectrum, you're seeing an EPMP of close to $20 a month on average and an income of around $200. Not bad for having written 10 blog posts. However, again, what I find is that that's just not enough content on most sites for it to start to do well. Unless 1 or 2 of your articles land on a low enough competition topic that happens to have a high enough search volume, you're not really gonna see those kinds of results. But hey, if you nail all 10, that's fantastic. So what happens if we add 50 articles to our website? This is a very achievable number for pretty much anybody. And in fact, what I would suggest is in most cases, do your search analysis and don't slow down on content creation to focus on other aspects of your website until you hit about this 50 post number. Here we see a lot fewer sites on the underperform side. However, we do see some sites underperforming and only achieving as much as about 1,000 page views a month. But most sites are falling closer to the middle, which in this case came out to be about 22,400 page views per month. And that comes out very close to that goal that we have and that number that we've seen across Project 24 of about 500 page views per post. And we're having that stretch goal, of course, of about 50,000 page views, 1,000 per article. So what does this translate into income? Well, on the underperform side, we're seeing EPMP numbers that are really low, only $4 or less typically per 1,000 page views. And so that's translating to an earnings of, well, about $4 a month if you only have 1,000 page views. But for those in the middle, those that are just doing average, we're seeing EPMPs of about $19, which lines up with what we saw for those stretch achievers with only 10 articles. And that's translating to an income of about $430 per month. Honestly, that's more than enough to buy a good Lego set. That X-Wing didn't cost nearly that much. You get a lot of Legos. But for those of you who are achieving on that stretch goal end of the spectrum, we're seeing an EPMP of more like $35. That's pretty amazing. And we're seeing an average income of about $1,760 per month with just 50 articles. But that's the stretch. So now let's move on to see what happens when we write 100 articles on a website. Before we dive into those numbers, I need to give a couple caveats for this whole study. How much you're going to earn on your website per article that you write just varies based on so many factors. The biggest one is probably the niche that you're in. In some niches, it's very hard to get traffic with only a few articles. However, the traffic that we get is often very easy to monetize. It's very valuable traffic. But also, very, very importantly, is how good are you at doing search analysis? If we pick really good topics for the content that we write, we're going to be able to attract a lot more traffic and get better monetization. The more traffic that we have, the more optimized our monetization can be as well, something that we're going to see here in just a second. And then next to search analysis is how good of a job did you do of writing unique and really valuable and helpful content. That's the kind of content that performs well on Google, independent to some extent of the level of competition. So now with 100 articles on your website, what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing traffic levels on the low end of about 20,000 page views per month. That's a pretty big step up from the 1,000 per month that we saw as the low end of just 50 articles. And on average, this is where you guys are just starting to blow me away, and I'm just very happy with what you're achieving. You're averaging over 70,000 page views per month with 100 articles. That's blowing that sort of metric of 500 that we've been sort of quoting for some time, just blowing that out of the water. You're getting better at search analysis. You're getting better at writing, and I think that's fantastic. The stretch goal is going to be about 100,000 page views per month, and in this study, we have people all across that entire spectrum. One thing I want to highlight here about 100 articles is that 100 articles, that comes down to just under 2 a week for a year. And then you're done. You've written 100 articles on a website. You don't have to do that every month, every year. Now at this point, what we need to do is keep it up. Keep the website going, keep the content up to date, and that's much easier to do than crafting new content. This site can sit fairly passive and continue to earn the kind of income we're about to talk about for years to come. That's what I love most about this business model. So now finally to earnings. On the low end, if you're underperforming, we're starting to see that $19 to $20 EPMP number, even on those underperform sites. But for those that are hitting the expected levels of traffic, around 70,000, we're seeing an EPMP of just shy of $33. That's a really, really awesome number to be seeing as your average for those that are just hitting the average levels of traffic. What does that translate into? That translates into an income of about $2,350 with a range there of between about $490 and about $7,100 for those in this range with 70-ish thousand page views. On the low end, anywhere from $0 to about $3,000 a month with an average of around $400. And the high end is where we start to get really excited. Those of you who are getting more like 100,000 page views per month on your site are earning anywhere from about $950 to about $15,000 per month from that level of traffic, with an average of around $4,100 per month. That's incredible, considering you basically wrote 2 articles a week for a year. So now what happens when we take it a step further and just blow up the content, put 500 articles on the same website? Well, we're gonna see some interesting numbers, and I have an explanation, or at least a theory. On the underperform side, we're seeing maybe more like 80,000 page views per month on the site. That's not 5 times the underperform number we saw on the 100 articles. It starts to taper off a little bit. And we see the same thing on the average. Instead of getting more like 250,000 page views a month, we're getting only about 200,000. And the stretch goal, instead of 500,000, we're going to set that up more like 400,000. And what I believe to be the primary reason for that is that as we get past about 100 or 200 articles on a website, we start to write articles that are actually going to take away traffic from some of our other content. You see, we have a couple of options at this point. We can broaden our niche because we've really kind of covered the topic, or we can continue to write more and more articles, just filling in the little gaps. And the problem is that we have articles that are probably already ranking for a lot of search queries other than the primary search query we wrote them for. They might not be ranking number 1, but they're still showing up on the first page of Google. And so you're getting some traffic for that. However, when we write a new article on that smaller topic, maybe it ranks number 1. That's fantastic, but it takes away the traffic from the other article. And so now we have more traffic than we did before, but because we lost a little on the other article, the overall gain is just a little bit less. And you multiply that across hundreds of times, and you see that the benefit of each additional article starts to go down. We see the same thing on the EPMP side. The other thing that I think is going on is a lot of the sites that have this much content on them, at this point, we're outsourcing content. And in that case, the quality of the content may be declining at least a little bit. That may be okay because the return on investment may be there as long as you can put in the work to monetize it properly. So now let's talk about the earnings. At this level, we're seeing on the underperformed side, well, with this amount of traffic, even 80,000 page views a month, we're seeing good EPMPs, $32.35, that's solid. But we're seeing that average EPMP drop for those who have much more traffic. For those with around 200,000 page views per month, we're seeing the EPMP drop to about $17.80. So what does this translate to in earnings? Well, we're seeing on the underperformed side, these sites are earning anywhere from about $2,300 to $2,700 per month with an average of about $2,590. But in that expected range of traffic, even though the traffic is substantially more, we're seeing earnings anywhere from about $900 up to about $5,800 with an average of about $3,560. You got a lot more traffic at this point, but not that much more money. And in fact, the average isn't that much more than those who wrote only 100 articles. On the stretch end of the spectrum, there are those sites who didn't do the things I just talked about. They have managed to grow, and they've managed to grow very successfully without cannibalizing their content, and they've managed to do it in such a way that their monetization hasn't taken a hit. These sites, we're seeing very high EPMP still, which is leading to earnings of anywhere from about $12,000 to $16,000 per month from their websites. The lesson here is that content is the most important thing at first, but there comes a time when we really do need to focus on optimizing that content for monetization, and that continuing to chase after more and more and more traffic doesn't necessarily lend itself to substantially higher earnings. There are a couple of other really cool numbers and trends that I want to share with you that I found in this study. The first one is that EPMP number. What we found is across the board, Project 24 members, all of you watching our YouTube channel, everybody in this study, we found that the EPMP continues to rise and rise and rise until you hit between that 100 and 200 article range. At that point, on average, we're seeing EPMPs drop. There were some sites that were well above the 500 article range, and we saw for them the EPMP continue to drop even further to more like $17.45. The EPMP for those with 100 articles on their website averaged $40.73 per 1,000 page views. That's awesome. So congratulations for that. And now, since I actually did 2 copies of the survey, same questions, but one for Project 24 members and one for the rest of our audience, it was really kind of cool to see the comparison between the two. The first one is EPMP. Project 24 members on average across the entire survey are earning 59% more per 1,000 page views than those who are not members of Project 24. We also found that for those sites with around 100 articles, that sort of optimal amount of content on the site for EPMP, we found that Project 24 sites have 47% more traffic per blog post. So what that comes down to is if you put 100 articles on a website and you're a Project 24 member, you're going to average just shy of 50% more income from that site than someone who's not in Project 24, which with 100 articles, if we use just the averages, you're gonna earn about $772 more per month because of what you learned in Project 24. That's extremely validating to me. I didn't know what to expect, frankly, when I looked at those numbers. And I was encouraged to see those. What we've done with Project 24 is build out a system, step by step, for exactly how to be successful. Picking a topic for a website, picking topics for the content that you're going to write, writing awesome content, and then monetizing the traffic that you get to your website. To learn more about that system and that process, I encourage you to watch this video. Whether you're going to buy Project 24 or not, it's going to walk you through what that process looks like to help you be more successful and achieve those higher numbers of traffic and income from your site. I hope to see you in that video soon.